Well, we've got a story out of Kentucky. One Breonna Taylor was killed by police officers in Louisville who went to her home and did what was called a no-knock warrant. Now, do you know what a no-knock warrant is?
My understanding is that you have a warrant to search the home. You are welcome to go in without knocking, without letting them know. You just burst in, and I believe that's what happened in this case.
And you're absolutely right. And we've got a little graphic here from Rand Paul. And I happen to be of the Rand Paul thinking here. No one should lose their life in pursuit of a crime without a victim, and no-knock warrants should be forbidden. Let's hope the investigation provides justice. So here you have the police who have to go to a judge to get a warrant to search your house. Why not knock on the door and tell the homeowners who you are? Why shouldn't we require that of our police officers? And, you know, I wasn't there and you weren't there in this entire deal. But you know what? When we don't know all of the things we should know, we bring in our experts. And I want to bring in Dudley Brown. He is the president of the National Association for Gun Rights. Dudley, welcome to the program. How are you, sir?
Well, thank you, Matt. I'm doing well.
So you just listened to the story that we just laid out there in Louisville, Kentucky about a no-knock warrant. What's your opinion on that, sir?
Well, no-knock raids are very dangerous, not only for the citizens in the house, in many cases, innocent citizens, and as well as for law enforcement. I mean, it's a very high-pressure situation. They don't actually, knock. They don't not just like casually open the door, usually use a ram and break in, sometimes even using explosives. And the idea is just force your way in with an entry team. And of course, you're going to have weapons drawn. You're going to be carrying a lot of the weapons that you see behind me here by law enforcement. And it's dangerous. And in the case here with Ms. Taylor, from what we know, it was doubly dangerous because it was dangerous to the innocent citizen, and at least as far as we can tell. And so, yes, the answer is, what do you do when someone doesn't say they're law enforcement? You have no reason to know that they're law enforcement. They break in your front door. You respond with quick, overwhelming counterforce, and that's what most Americans do. And Matt, the other concern is in many states, you have make my day laws. So not only do you have the legal authority to defend yourself in your own home, but you're immune from prosecution under most circumstances. And so, it's a big problem. And from what we can tell, we don't have all the facts in, but from we can see, law enforcement really went over the line there in this situation.
Well, and Dudley, you beat me to the punch. The Make My Day law I was going to bring up, the Castle Doctrine here in Texas. You have the legal responsibility to protect your body, your life, and your domicile or your car. That is granted to you by your creator. And here we have a situation where maybe there was some miscommunication. We're finding out in this story that this was a raid that maybe should not have happened, that the assailant was caught before they went and raided this house. So how do we fix things like this? Because you do have the right to defend yourself. And believe me, if you're breaking into my home, the first thing you're staring down is the end of my Smith & Wesson.
Well, and Senator Paul has brought it up, the concern, multiple times. I think his concern, I haven't talked directly to Senator Paul about this issue, although he's a member of our organization and a close friend and ally. I know that they don't want to see necessarily federal legislation, but states should be looking at this. They always should be looking at the authority of law enforcement to do no-knock raids. And you say Castle Doctrine, Matt. Castle Doctrine is kind of the new glossed over term for people who don't want to say Make My Day law. But I think that more encapsulates it properly. It's no. We want criminals to think, if I open that door, if I kick in a door, I break a window and try and enter a house, I might die because that citizen is probably going to shoot me. We want every criminal thinking that way. And frankly, we want law enforcement to rethink that. we would think, it's probably not a good idea for me to send in a whole team. Now, the problem is law enforcement says the reason they need these no-knock raids is because they want to stop the destruction of evidence. Well, of course, which the balance, if you're going to lose evidence in a criminal case or kill people, and in many cases, no-knock raids end up in shootings. I'd rather lose evidence. You can get it later.
Well, Dudley, in here, I know myself, my radio show, the television show here, we are big backers of the blue. I mean, police officers have a very, very tough job. And they don't know if they're going to come home at night. They've got families as well. I want you to listen to this clip we have of Joe Biden talking about guns and getting rid of them. Go ahead and play it, guys.
I think we have to, in fact, have universal background checks, eliminate assault weapons as being illegal to be sold or owned in the United States, as well as limiting the number of bullets that can be in a clip to 10.
Yeah, it's a magazine, Joe, but they want to limit bullets and guns, and they want to limit the rights. Isn't that against our Second Amendment freedoms here?
Well, yeah, and the one thing he didn't say there to add into what he supports is these red flag laws, which dovetail very closely with this no-knock raid issue, and in fact, that's a big problem with the current president. He has said he's supported red flag laws, and my organization has done commercials and made a lot of effort to try and bump the president off that puck to stop him from going down that road, because red flag laws are one of the worst and most egregious violations of your Second Amendment that has been created in the last 10 years.
So, Dudley, we've got about 90 seconds left. Tell everybody about the National Association for Gun Rights. I have to tell you, I'm a member and a proud member, so thank you for what you do. But tell folks how they can become members.
Well, nationalgunrights.org is our organization's website, and of course, we're on Facebook. We're the second largest gun rights group in America. You have my promise as someone who's represented gun owners for going on 27 years now, that we're not going to cut deals with your rights. We're not going to buy $25,000 suits. We're not going to Yugoslavia on a private jet. Where our organization's job is to activate gun owners all around the country to oppose all forms of gun control, not just Democrat gun control, but Republican gun control, like the gun control being offered right now by Senator Lindsey Graham on red flag, or any number of there's a Texas congressman who's running a bill called the TAPS Act, again, gun control with an R after it. Our organization opposes all of it. And we're very active in many states, especially in Texas, and very active in Washington, D.C. So I know many people are looking for a home now as the institutional gun lobby is having problems. And all I can do is promise them that my organization is never going to cut deals, compromise. We're not going to say good things about politicians like Harry Reid. We're not going to call people like him champions of the Second Amendment. We're going to tell it like it is and be honest, even when sometimes it hurts.
Well, Dudley, thank you so much, President of the National Association of Gun Rights. I appreciate the fact you stopped by America's Voice Live today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Matt.